A system of morality which is based on relative emotional values is a mere illusion, a thoroughly vulgar conception which has nothing sound in it and nothing true. By all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you will become happy, and if you get a bad one, you will become a philosopher. When desire, having rejected reason and overpowered judgment which leads to right, is set in the direction of the pleasure which beauty can inspire, and when again, under the influence of its kindred desires, it is moved with violent motion towards the beauty of corporeal forms, it acquires a surname from this very violent motion, and is called love. I pray thee, O God, that I may be beautiful within. I pray thee, O God, that I may be beautiful within. Nature has given us 2 ears, 2 eyes, and but 1 tongue to the end that we should hear and see more than we speak. In childhood be modest, in youth temperate, in adulthood just, and in old age prudent. The end of life is to be like God, and the soul following God will be like him. We are in fact convinced that if we are ever to have pure knowledge of anything, we must get rid of the body and contemplate things by themselves, with the soul by itself. It seems, to judge from the argument, that the wisdom which we desire, and upon which we profess to have set our hearts, will be attainable only when we are dead, and not in our lifetime. Nothing is to be preferred before justice. Let him that would move the world first move himself. The comic and the tragic lie inseparably close, like light and shadow. I am not an Athenian, nor a Greek, but a citizen of the world. Call no man unhappy until he is married. Happiness is unrepentant pleasure. Wars and revolutions and battles are due simply and solely to the body and its desires. All wars are undertaken for the acquisition of wealth, and the reason why we have to acquire wealth is the body, because we are slaves in its service. An unexamined life is not worth living. I know that I am intelligent because I know that I know nothing. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. The unexamined life is not worth living for a human being. To find yourself, think for yourself. True knowledge exists in knowing that you know nothing. Wisdom begins in wonder. He who is not a good servant will not be a good master. The way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. Be nicer than necessary to everyone you meet. Everyone is fighting some kind of battle. If a man comes to the door of poetry untouched by the madness of the muses, believing that technique alone will make him a good poet, he and his sane compositions never reach perfection, but are utterly eclipsed by the performances of the inspired madman. The beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms. The really important thing is not to live, but to live well. And to live well meant, along with more enjoyable things in life, to live according to your principles. Regard your good name as the richest jewel you can possibly be possessed of, for credit is like fire. When once you have kindled it, you may easily preserve it, but if you once extinguish it, you will find it an arduous task to rekindle it again. The way to a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. In all of us, even in good men, there is a lawless wild beast nature which peers out in sleep. He is richest who is content with the least, for content is the wealth of nature. All I know is that I do not know anything. Those who are hardest to love need it the most. All men's souls are immortal, but the souls of the righteous are immortal and divine. Esteemed friend, citizen of Athens, the greatest city in the world, so outstanding in both intelligence and power, aren't you ashamed to care so much to make all the money you can, and to advance your reputation and prestige, while for truth and wisdom and the improvement of your soul you have no care or worry? To be is to do. I decided that it was not wisdom that enabled to write their poetry, but a kind of instinct or inspiration, such as you find in seers and prophets, who deliver all their sublime messages without knowing in the least what they mean. I did not care for the things that most people care about: making money, having a comfortable home, high military or civil rank, and all the other activities, political appointments, secret societies, party organizations, which go on in our city. I set myself to do you, each one of you, individually and in private, what I hold to be the greatest possible service. I tried to persuade each one of you to concern himself less with what he has than with what he is, so as to render himself as excellent and as rational as possible. Virtue does not come from wealth, but wealth, and every other good thing which men have comes from virtue. The mind is everything. What you think you become. He who is unable to live in society, or who has no need because he is sufficient for himself, must be either a beast or a god. Not life, but good life, is to be chiefly valued. I know you won't believe me, but the highest form of human excellence is to question oneself and others. Is it true? Is it kind? Or is it necessary? There is no solution. Seek it lovingly. The misuse of language induces evil in the soul. God takes away the minds of poets and uses them as his ministers, as he also uses diviners and holy prophets, in order that we who hear them may know them to be speaking not of themselves, who utter these priceless words in a state of unconsciousness, but that God himself is the speaker, and that through them he is conversing with us. And therefore, if the head and the body are to be well, you must begin by curing the soul. That is the first and essential thing. And the care of the soul, my dear youth, has to be effected by the use of certain charms, and these charms are fair words, and by them temperance is implanted in the soul, and where temperance comes and stays, there health is speedily imparted, not only to the head, but to the whole body. Living well and beautifully and justly are all one thing. There is no greater evil one can suffer than to hate reasonable discourse. One who is injured ought not to return the injury, for on no account can it be right to do an injustice, and it is not right to return an injury or to do evil too. To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. Give me beauty in the inward soul. May the outward and the inward man be at one. Well, although I do not suppose that either of us know anything really beautiful and good, I am better off than he is, for he knows nothing. Now, thinks that he knows. I neither know nor think that I know. To express oneself badly is not only faulty as far as the language goes, but does some harm to the soul. Are you not ashamed of caring so much for the making of money and for fame and prestige, when you neither think nor care about wisdom and truth and the improvement of your soul? The only thing I know is that I know nothing, and I am no quite sure that I know that. My plainness of speech makes them hate me, and what is their hatred but a proof that I am speaking the truth? He is not only idle who does nothing, but he is idle who might be better employed.